preparing. Okay. So it says we're live. I'm not seeing it yet, but it should pop up in a moment. It's preparing. Okay, cool. Now I got to turn the volume down here. Okay. There we go. So we are live on YouTube, you guys. Say hello. They can see you. Awesome. And I think what I'm going to do now is I'll switch it over to speaker view. So whoever's talking will show up on the screen. And as I said, if you're a little shy and you'd rather not show, then you can just hide your picture. Oh, I see all you waving over there on the delay. That's cool. Okay, great. So let's see. That is funny. Donna, you're like spotlighted or something here. I don't know if you're seeing that. No, I guess it's not working that way. It's so funny. All right, enough of that chatter. So welcome everybody to the book launch celebration party. Delighted to have you here. And this is celebrating, which way do I point? That way. It's celebrating the path to hearing your angels and guides along with the 21-day meditation challenge workbook. If you aren't familiar with these books, they were channeled from Archangel Metatron in December of 2020. Metatron came to me and requested that I do 21 days of meditation, 15 minutes a day. And I'm like, okay, no problem. I meditate all the time anyway, so I can do that. But what happened was nothing like what I expected. And of course, Metatron had this big grand plan that I wasn't aware of at the time. It has since been revealing itself, which is part of the excitement and why I wanted these lovely people here that you hopefully will see in a little bit to share in the experience. So this was all about learning how to hear your angels and guides, something I had been asking for a long time. How do I teach this? Because everybody can channel, but everybody does it slightly differently. So it's really hard to quantify that and teach it. So I was stymied and I just couldn't find a way to do it. Then Metatron comes along with this brilliant plan. After I finished with that 21 days, I knew that's what this was all about. This is the path for you to hear your angels and guides. Once you go through this process, you will have that connection. You will be on your way. Of course, you'll want to continue because you are building a muscle and it takes time to tone that muscle. So we have a Facebook support group. I invited a group of people to come in and join me on the beta because Metatron insisted that I do the beta group before I launch the book. And I'm like, no, and you'll read this in the book because I shared it all. I'm not ready. It's not the right time. But, you know, Metatron's pretty insistent when he's got a plan and he wants something accomplished in a certain way. And far be it from me to question because he's proven over and over again that he knows better than I do. So reluctantly, I set up the group. These people came in. We started this group together. And it was like, okay, but how do we do this? There are no guidelines here. So I went to Metatron and I'm like, okay, how do you want to structure this thing? So each day of the 21 days, he brought a new message in the challenge. Those messages are what you will find in the workbook. So they will guide you through the process. So I recommend that you read the path to hearing, go through that process. You can practice along the way, just get an understanding of how this works. Because I guarantee you, if you're struggling with this, it's because you're putting unrealistic expectations on yourself. You are already channeling. You do it naturally. You're just not aware that's what it is. Very often, things will come through and you'll blame it on your ego, or you'll just, not pay any attention to it at all. So this is part of learning how to distinguish between the voice of ego and the voice of your angels and guides. That's the process you're going through. So the challenge workbook is to help you, and you don't need that to go through. If you come in the support group, you'll find all those messages there. But for those people who don't want to wade through all of those messages to find the golden nuggets, we put together the workbook so that you'll have that handy. And then I think it's, this is the reader bonus, because after the challenge was over, more messages came. So those went into the post-challenge reader bonus book, so that if you'd like to continue on with messages from Metatron, you'll have those as well. Now, probably in the future, there will be more messages and I will add them to that book as they come. So far, there are 9 messages in there, and we'll just see where that goes. So that's the summation. Welcome. We have 4 people watching us on the stream, and I see that's you, Donna. So I'm not sure if anybody else is there. Oh, Melinda is there. Melinda says hi. Yeah, I think a lot of people might be at a different celebration today. So I'm sorry I conflicted with that other gathering. I wasn't even thinking about that when I scheduled this. I was just trying to pick a time that the West Coast could join us comfortably. So that's what we're about. But we do have a bunch of lovely people over in the Zoom room. So anybody in the group wants to talk about your experience going through the challenge, raise your hand and we'll bring you up. Awesome. So Susan, if you want to unmute yourself.
Yep, I just did. So I've had an interest in Metatron and the Akashic records for a while, Akashic longer than Metatron. And I sort of meditate, I just, I'm in that space a lot, just generally, but to have a group to go into a 21-day challenge really made me meditate every single day for the 21 days. And it was very powerful. A lot of people shared their experiences, their synchronicities, and I certainly had them as well. And I just came out of there feeling much closer to him, much more able to communicate with him. And a lot of the voices that, that used to say, oh, you can't channel, it's not for you, all that kind of stuff. They just sort of dissipated. And I'm finding that I'm getting messages from him, both in the records and outside of the records, and when I least expect it. So I just want to express my gratitude to you for the book and the workbook, and just to have those ready as part of my morning practice. I really appreciate it all. Thank you so much.
It was such a pleasure having you, Susan. It was a delight. And Susan was one of my alpha readers who I thanked in the book. I don't know if you've gotten to that page yet, but there was a special group of alpha readers who came in, looked at the book before I was ever ready to publish, because I wasn't sure I was going to publish it. There was a lot of raw, vulnerable stuff in that book. And it's like, do I really want to put this out to the public? But it was like, no, that was the whole point. So that people could see this is what it might be like, and don't give up. You actually really are on the right track. So thankfully, Susan came in early on and read it. It gave me her feedback and supported, yeah, let's get it out there. And I'm so grateful for that.
The time is now. It really is, So thank you.
Yeah, definitely the time is now. And we heard that throughout the entire challenge. Metatron kept talking about, we're gathering more light workers so that we reach critical mass and we can move forward and change this world. Let's stamp out the bigotry, the hatred, the corruption. Let's bring back love and light, peace, joy, happiness to Earth, who is going through her own rebirth right now. And we're a part of that process. So we talked about that a lot as well along the way, and you'll find that in the messages. Is there anybody else who would like to share an anecdote? Nina, yeah, go ahead.
I think this was a really interesting process. For me, it was a lot of letting go of, old things that I didn't realize I'd carried for so many years. And that was a freeing process in and of itself. I did get a lot of really good messages in it. And I did do the meditation every day. I still continue to do meditation almost every day and still continue to get information. But I think my practice isn't as good as it was during those 21 days. But I do think that this is a really worthwhile process. And I'm really, really glad I did it. And thank you, Deborah, for managing it and guiding us through it. It was really healing for me in many ways.
Yeah, you are so welcome. A lot of people talked about their healing experiences, and yeah, those were things that I didn't know or expect. They just evolved from the experience, which, it was surprising.
Yeah, it was for me too.
Yeah. I had myself a healing experience that I wasn't expecting. Somewhere, maybe 2/3 of the way through, this memory that I hadn't forgotten. I mean, I still had it, of being, I think I was between 4 and 5. My brother had, my younger brother, but he was stronger than me, had wrestled me to the floor. He was on top of me and he was choking me. I couldn't breathe. And in that moment, I thought I was going to die. And there my parents were sitting on the sofa, cheering us on, one rooting for one and the other. And in that moment, what came to me that I hadn't remembered before was that I realized right then and there at 4 years old that I could not trust my parents. I had to be my own parent. That was the piece of the story that had been missing all of this time. And it was so profound because it explained a lot of who I am and why I am. And I wasn't looking for that, it just naturally evolved from the experience. And I think a lot of people had similar things happen, that just by making the commitment, showing up, spending the time, healing just spontaneously can happen. And it was so marvelous and magical. Is there anybody else who would like to share about their experience?
I would like to. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so I started the 21-day challenge right in the tail end of when my mom was passing from cancer. And so I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to complete the challenge because of the challenge of the illness with my mom. But I also kind of used it as a kind of like a break from all that like heaviness of her illness. And I've always thought of myself as not a person who can visualize very well. And through this challenge, I was getting some really interesting visualizations, and some of them were very like detailed and colorful. And so I learned through this process that I am a visualizer and I can visualize. And it was just amazing to go through the process. But my biggest revelation was actually after the challenge. I stopped the challenge and I took a break because my mom had passed like a couple days before the challenge ended. And so I just took a break to just kind of process everything. And I went to bed one night and I just felt this negative energy on me. And while I was laying there, the song, I always feel like somebody's watching me, came into my head. And I'm like, what the heck was that? Why am I singing this song out of the blue in my head while I'm trying to sleep? And so I started a different 21-day challenge because I felt like I needed to protect myself. I felt like I was vulnerable because of my mom's passing. But the biggest thing that I took away from that is that now I know my guides reach me through music. And I never realized that before. But I will get song lyrics from songs that I haven't heard of in 20 years. And now I know that they are messages for me and I need to pay attention to them. So that was my biggest takeaway from this experiment.
That is so beautiful. And I think a lot of people felt that. And I'm sorry that you had that experience with your mom, but what amazing timing that the support was there for you and you were able to go through it in such a different way than it might otherwise have been. So that's an incredible blessing. And the thing about songs, that happens for so many people. Those earworms that we get when that song shows up and just won't leave you alone, that's very often your guides. So when you pay attention and you do something about it, then it will stop and go away. But that's a massive realization to have, and it will serve you well as you move forward. So wonderful. Donna, you were going to say something.
Well, I was, and I'm actually looking back at the message that we had this past Monday because my mother is 95. And she had gone through 2 procedures where the doctor said, I'm sorry, but there's no way to get a stent in her bile duct. And I had reached out to every energy worker that I knew. You're talking about healing. That's why I brought this up. And I messaged you just as she went into the procedure. And I said, please ask her and our teams to assist and accomplish amazing and successful outcome. And the response that you gave just gave me chills. It said, done. I've seen her encased in a beautiful golden white healing bubble that amplifies the efforts of her medical team. This procedure generally took 2 hours, and 45 minutes after they started, they called me. And I said, what's wrong with Mom? And they said, no, the stent went in and it's not supposed to. And I said, well, thank you. So I just wanted to thank you for assisting, because I'm left brain. And even though you're and the Akashic Unleashed, and my book was launched virtually the same day in 2017, I think, when I came up to Pennsylvania to work your table because you were doing an expo. I've always gone, well, you know, I read the book, I love the book, but I'm going, I'm so left brain. I kept going, nah. But effectively, I have been talking to guides all my life without realizing that I had been in conversation. So thank you so much for being the guide.
Yeah, you are so welcome. Yeah, those words from Mama Peggy were channeled in the moment. That's just how it works. And it, like I say, that probably happens for everybody out there who doesn't think they can channel. In the moment, something will just come through and you're like, whoa, who said that, or where did that come from? You just know it wasn't something you thought, it just flowed through you. And that's how channeling works. It's not some big mysterious thing that only, quote, special people can do. Everybody can do it. Everybody can talk to Metatron or Archangel Michael or Gabriel or whoever. You can talk to divine themselves. Every once in a while, I'll have a message come through that is from God, creator, source themselves. And very profound. I put some of them into meditations for you that you can enjoy them. So yeah, I mean, it's there for everybody. And it was a real privilege and an honor to be able to be there in that moment for you and Mama Peggy, because, you know, when you channel and share, you are blessed. It always boomerangs back on you. You're creating that karma in every moment. And those moments come back to you in, you know, multitudes. So yeah, it's a privilege doing this work. And you are not as left-brained as you think you are.
Well, okay, so I'm a hybrid. I'm a left brain, right brain hybrid.
Yeah, well, remember, I used to build databases. I was very left brain. And it was just through a process of getting into this work and following through, building the muscle, which is exactly what we do in the 21-day challenge. And we'll continue it, you know, for as long as people want to. That support group is there. The link will be in the book for you. You're welcome to join us, read the experiences others have had, share yours, because in the doing, you will expand your own experience. You'll get so much more out of it. This isn't something that you pick up, you read it, and then you put it away and you never think about it again. This is transformational, you guys. It was intended to be. This is Metatron's way of bringing us the tools we need to usher in the new golden age of humanity, which they're calling Earthtopia. So it's our pathway. That's why it's the path to hearing. You know, you were probably, many of you, taught to pray, but were you taught to hear? So many of us, as you said, Donna, through our lives, we're talking and talking and talking, but very frustrated often that we don't feel we're getting an answer. Yet we always are getting an answer. It's always there. It's learning to hear it. That's the trick. And as I was starting to say before, you can call on Metatron if you want to. It's not special to me. Metatron is there for everybody. He's the overseer of the Akashic records. So he's the boss of your Akashic team. They're all connected. And when you speak with your team, any members of your team, with Metatron, you're always speaking with Divine Creator because they're all connected. There's a through line. Energetically, we're all connected. So it doesn't matter who you speak to. Often they will stay away from identifying themselves. They'll just come to you as the collective because they don't have egos. They don't need to be identified. So if you find they come to you as a collective and don't give you a name, you can make one up. They don't care. It's fine. Maybe they'll give you one. Sometimes they do if you really insist, but they don't care. That's not their thing. Their thing is to serve you. And that's another huge lesson that was really crystallized for me in going through the process of creating these books, is that we so often have this idea that we're serving them. No, we're not. Creator made them to serve us, to help us on our journey, because we each have this unique path we're walking, and the experiences that we have, the things that we do, we think, we say, are all cataloged in the records. And then Creator is getting all of that feedback from us. Creator's not out there living a third dimensional life. We are. We are bringing those experiences. So think about that. You are bringing sensory experience to Creator. You are co-creating, of course, but you are putting your own spin, your own understanding, bringing new things into the world, new thoughts, ideas, inventions even. I hope all that makes sense. Let me just take a quick look at the chat over on YouTube. Looks like we're good there. So Terry, Carol, Domont, Warrior Girl, I see all of you are there. Thank you for joining us. Warrior Girl says it's beautiful, all the stories shared. And she's so happy she made the live stream. Yeah, so glad you could be with us. Anybody else on the Zoom side who wants to pop in and share an anecdote? Elena, would you like to say something? You always have something wise to say. You just have to unmute. There you go.
There it goes. My computer is acting funny again. Well, first of all, I want to congratulate you on a very work well done. I mean, I got to see the first drafts and pictures and picking which ones I like the best. But I've worked with Metatron for many, many, many years. As a shaman, I work with a lot of the angelic realm, and I work with a lot of spirit guides and spirit allies. But with the challenge, and I believe, I don't know if it was, I'm not sure who mentioned it, but one of the things they kept doing to me was playing a lot of the 50 songs. And it would drive me freaking nuts, because then I'd have to like, oh my God, now I got to go look up the lyrics of the song to figure out what the message was. And it went on pretty much the whole time of the challenge. You know, every once in a while they would just pop in and give me visions and stuff like that. But again, I'm one of those that's very visual. I can hear, see, feel, you know, I use all the clairs. But then I couldn't get the songs out of my head. It would drive me nuts, because it was like, all right, already, I already looked up the messages. Shut up. So they would, but they'd bring another song in. And it was very interesting that most of the songs were from the 50s and the 60s when I was a young child. And I realized what he was doing was tapping into help me release a lot of the energy of the abuse that I went through as a child, to let it go, but to do it and see it in such a way that it didn't scare me. So it's, even though I've been doing this work for over 20 years, probably closer to 30 now, there are so many levels to the onion that we peel and we peel and we peel, and we think we're finally through it, and then bam, we get hit with the next level, and we go even deeper until we can finally find that root cause, because it might not have started in this lifetime. And that's what's so fun about going into the Akashic records, because you can go back and follow the path backwards until you find that root cause. And then you start working on it from there.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And thank you for bringing up about peeling the onion, because that's really what it is. I mean, I was astonished when that memory came from me, because it's like, I've done a lot of work. I thought most of the big stuff was cleared already, but no, there's more, because we've lived so many lifetimes and there's just
Yeah.
so much there. And
Yeah,
it's so easy as compared to having to go through therapy. I mean, 20 days of meditation and you can peel away a lot of crap.
Yeah, you can. But it is like, and they literally, when I first started doing this work probably 30 years ago, because I started it probably in my late 20s, early 30s, they literally would bring a huge blooming onion in. And literally, I would have to start peeling each layer. And then when I met my mentor, who was a shaman of Hawaiian and Mohawk background, he helped me dive even deeper. And then when I started meeting Metatron and Melchizedek and some of the other ones who would just pop into my apartment, and I'd be like, uh-oh, what did I do? You know, but they would literally, their light is so bright, they would literally would come in and say, okay, this is what we want you to look at next. Then we want you to look at this. And then we know this is painful. Oh, Bearheart wants to say hi.
Hi.
And yes, it was painful to look at some of this stuff. But if you go up high enough on your timeline, you don't have to delve into the emotional part. You can actually see what happened without having your emotions involved. So it makes it a lot easier to heal it.
That is so awesome. So glad Bearheart popped in. Hey, and we have somebody new joining us on the Zoom side. So are you there now, Ivana? Do you want to share an anecdote about your experience going through the support group, the 21 days?
Absolutely. Sorry, I'm trying to turn you off on the other thing.
I know.
How are you?
Struggling. Wonderful. So glad to see you. You look beautiful.
There's a little bit of a delay. So yeah, I was just, you can see all my notes and all my I printed it, and what I did is I started by writing on the back of each page and just going through each day and journaling as I had the opportunity. 4:44 is my time. And is it Alina that was just talking? Yeah, I haven't been doing this for 30 years. I'm pretty much on the other end of things. This is all pretty new for me. And Deborah, again, congratulations. This is so exciting. And it was so wonderful to be part of the opportunity to go through it at the beginning with you. And just, I was looking at one of the notes. One of the funny things that happened to me is at work, things can be a little stressful right now. And so we talk about being on the B team. I'd be there before those people came, and I'll be there after. And in one of my meditations, that was one of the things that had come to me. And I was listing all these B things like believe and just, I couldn't figure out why all these B's were coming to me. And it was like, just Metatron was just coming in and saying, here's what's happening in your life. Here's what's happening in our meditation. Now let's look at how we're going to weave them together and change who you are and how you see your world. And that's what this whole process has been for me. It's been like opening my eyes. You know, you talked about the onion, and for me, it's like just taking those shields off my eyes and helping me see. So thank you, and thank Metatron. So Metatron is a new best friend for me, as are you.
Oh, thank you. I love that, because I feel the same way. Like Metatron is my best friend, and we're holding hands walking through life. That's how it can be, because that's how your team feels about you. They love you to the moon and back. They will do anything to support you. Just keep asking and they'll be right there to help you, literally holding your hand. So beautiful.
But thank you. Thank you for doing it. You know, I love how real you are when you talk about times where maybe you didn't want to do it, or you didn't want to get up, or you didn't think you were ready. That transparency is so powerful for me. I'm a perfectionist, and I see what other people seem to have it all together, and I don't always see the whole picture. And so I just appreciate that in you so much.
Thank you. I think that's part of the gift that we share because, yeah, me too. It was like even last night, I'm still making last minute tweaks to the books. But at some point, you just have to give yourself a break and say, it's good enough. Can always make more improvements in the future. But we've got this message and these gifts to get out to the world. And if we keep holding them back, we're hurting others. We're not living our purpose.
We needed it now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And, you know, I look back at it and was like, in December, I had this body of work, but I didn't know what to do with it. It was just kind of spinning my wheels, trying to figure it out. So thanks to all of you who've been in my circle supporting me, birthing these 2 books, actually, and this whole process. And, you know, it's like, I'm just the messenger. It's coming. I'm sharing it. It's not up to me to judge it. And I think for a lot of us, that's a big hurdle to get over because we do have that perfection, which as Donna calls it, on our shoulder. So we have to get over ourselves because this is needed so badly right now. So I thank you all for showing up. I'm so grateful that you're here, lending your energy to the cause because others will hear, they will be intrigued, they'll get involved, they'll step up and they'll more deeply live their purpose and help us to move forward out of this chaos time that we're in right now. Thank you so much. Anybody else who wants to share an anecdote?
Well, since you mentioned the perfection witch on my shoulder, I thought I would just share with you the message that I got years ago, except it took me so long to acknowledge it and listen. And I kept getting this silly thought, which was evict the witch. And and I said, what? And it was like the perfection witch on my shoulder. And so it actually created a mind shift exercise called Evict the Witch. And I think that we all have that perfectionism. We think it has to be perfect before we do it. And I think it's more important to just, messy is a whole lot better than holding it inside our, what I call our biological supercomputer that is on the top of our body, and it's best to just let it out.
Yeah, that's so important right now because we are in this time of such great chaos. And what Metatron keeps saying is that you need to just go with the flow. Don't get into that resistance, all that second guessing yourself. Feel your way through it. Stay in the flow as much as you can, because honestly, right now, there's a lot of shifting sands going on. So we need to have a good foundation under us. We need to have good balance. There was a lot of that in the November forecast. If you've listened to that, big part of the message is focus on your balance and keep your eyes up. There was an analogy in that message about walking across one of those rope suspended bridges and how it's shaking and, you know, it's scary, but you just go in faith and confidence that your angels and guides have got you one step at a time. Keep going, keep your eyes up, because where your focus goes is where you go, and you don't want to fall in that chasm. So yeah, it was a deep message, and more of that will be coming. They are here lending their love and support to get us through this time. They want us to get through it as much as we do. So yeah. Any questions anybody has before we end this thing? Because it looks like we've pretty much covered everybody who wanted to speak. And anybody in
I
the
just
chat?
have one comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
Through this process, you know, I have a bunch of meditation tools and things like that. And I'll admit, I'm really bad at meditating. I need to do it more. I know it helps me, but I do need to, you know, incorporate that regularly. But with this group, the one thing that I had found is that, you know, everyone has a different process to their meditating. And when I was reading other people's experiences, you know, it was like, wow, I never thought of doing it that way, or I never thought of asking that question. And so that helped me to sort of branch out in my own process to meditating. And I think I've never done like a group meditation. before. So this kind of helped me to add a little bit more to my tool shed. So I really appreciate that.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I think for a lot of people that was true, because some of us have these preconceived notions about what it, quote, should be. And in living those shoulds, we're having blinders on and closing our eyes to what it really is. So sharing those stories helped people to see little bits and pieces of themselves to expand their consciousness into different ways of having this experience. So that's what's so powerful about the group. And that's why I am just eternally grateful to all of you who said yes, showed up for the beta group of the challenge, because you helped to craft it, to shape it for all those who will come after. And you've left this beautiful legacy there in the group that they can go back and read those threads and see your experiences and be encouraged, supported. It's so beautiful. I just so appreciate all of you. So I think we pretty much acknowledged everybody. Let's see, Linda popped in on the chat on YouTube. So thank you, Linda. And what I'm going to do, I just want to say a short little thank you. We'll just close down that way. It feels right. And then I'm going to put the link for Autumn's 50th birthday party over in the chat on YouTube. So if you guys were missing Autumn's party, and I'm so sorry that we conflicted, I didn't mean to do that, so that you can still pop over there because they're having a great celebration. So thank you all for being here. Let's just take a moment, take a couple of deep breaths. Just bring your awareness into your heart chakra. Just feel that love that your team has for you expanding in your heart chakra. Feel your angels' arms embracing you as they stand encircling you in love and light. Sharing this beautiful vital force energy with you that is so powerful and so wonderful that you feel your feet lifting right off the ground. You're levitating in the love and light of your Akashic team. Remember that feeling. Bring it back anytime you feel low, you feel off course, you need a little help. It's always there for you. Always. Every millimeter of a second, it's there. You just have to ask. Reach out your hands. Let them take your hands and support you in whatever way that you need. And remember to thank them, because they are so wonderful and they love you to the moon and back. Their love is just so all-encompassing. And now I want you to focus on your heart chakra and feel all of that love emanating outwards to the world from you, because that's what you're here to do, light worker. Soak up all of that light and love from your angelic team, from Divine Creator, and then share it with the world in whatever way feels best to you. And in the doing of that, you will feel overflowing with love for the world. Sometimes it's a little overpowering. It's so deep and so profound. That's what we're all bringing forth as we join arms and we march forward towards fulfilling the prophecy of Earthtopia. That's where we're going. It is coming, it is promised, and it will happen. The sooner we get more people joining us on this journey, the sooner we'll get there. So thank you, Metatron. Thank you, Creator. Thank you, all of our Akashic teams, for being with us, for your loving support. Even in the dark times, you're there, and we so appreciate you. With lots of love from us to you, and sharing your love with all of those who are here in this beautiful energetic circle, and letting that love boomerang in a sonic boom out and then back in. Almost like breathing. It's like your lungs inflating. That energy, that love comes into you, and then you send it back out. Oh, that's really beautiful. I've never heard that before. Thank you. That's a lovely way to bring a cap to this experience. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Ever grateful. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to switch the view over so that you can all wave and say goodbye. Much love for being here.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Deborah.
You're welcome.